turning the tables, getting backstabbed one way or another, and a hero's journey. Now this is Jumpin' Jeff.
Yep.
What's up, guys? My name is Kit Parsons, better known as professional wrestler Magnum CK, and this is a very special episode of Now That's What I Call Wrestling. Now this is Jumpin' Jeff. You've probably seen the promo without even realizing it, but do you know the man? Do you know the hero behind the promo? That's what we're diving into now. A little bit of a departure, a little bit of a distraction from the action of the World Wrestling Empire. If you're watching week to week, we're jumping right back into the Empire next week, but right now we're taking a deep dive on another part of the American South. I promise I'm not picking on the American South. It just seems to be where there's a lot of good, bad wrestling. Speaking of which, if you're new here, this is Now That's What I Call Wrestling, the only wrestling show. Well, not the only wrestling show, the only good, bad wrestling show. And there's a big difference between good wrestling and bad wrestling, and there's an even bigger difference between good wrestling and good, bad wrestling. It's kind of like one of those you gotta feel it to figure it out type of things, so I can't really explain it. You know good, bad wrestling when you see it, and my friend, you're about to see a lot of it. We are taking a detour from our current stop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and just driving a little bit east, south, northeast, east. I didn't look it up on a map before I started this.
That's the level of detail you can expect here.
We're going to Little Rock, Arkansas for International Pro Wrestling. There's one man who put International Pro Wrestling on the map, and that's Jumpin' Jeff. But there's a one man that I know of that put International Pro Wrestling on the YouTube, and that's my good friend, Honeydew Wilkins. He posted the original Jumpin' Jeff promo that started this phenomenon that has influenced everything from Tim Robinson sketch on Netflix, and it has also influenced my life to what I watched a bunch of times. It's been influential. I don't need to do the math for you, okay? So let's just get right to it.
Yep.
Every great story starts with a setting. We're sometime in the early 90s, as far as I can tell. It's really hard. Again, this is like being an archaeologist with like no resources or information. There's not a lot of information out there, but I think we can safely say we're going back to early 90s Little Rock, Arkansas pro wrestling. But no one's going to care about a story if we don't know about the people in it. So let's start with our villain, Motley Cruz. You can tell just by looking at him that this guy is no good. He's a rough customer. This guy, Motley Cruz, looks like Muzzy.
Bonjour, je suis le grand musique.
Je suis la jeune fille.
Yes, that's French they're speaking. And no, these children aren't French. They're American.
That's the only joke. That's the only Motley Cruz looks like joke that's possible because it's the best one. So one and done on old Motley Cruz. Motley Cruz looks like Muzzy and sounds like...
Mr. Buddy Lee, did you hear that?
But if we just take a look here at Motley Cruz in the ring, I'll just bring up a Motley Cruz match. There's thousands to choose from. I'll just pick one at random.
Go to the ring.
The first thing I need to tell you about IPW is it's hosted by this guy named Buddy Lee, who is really, really trying his best to sound like Tony the Tiger.
Interview with Motley Cruz earlier. This is what he had to say.
If I had to guess, I'd say he's not a wrestling guy. But he's their host for all their backstage interviews, and he's one of their lead commentators.
Now let's go to the ring. Johnny Malibu in this match up against Motley Cruz.
It's worse than the World Wrestling Empire because they've piped in crowd noise so much. I mean, there are like 20 people in the audience. You don't get a lot of looks at the audience. There's no entrances. We just kind of start matches. They have piped in so much crowd noise that you can't even hear the commentary that was very clearly laid in afterward. Motley Cruz and Johnny Malibu. This is just to dip our toe into Motley Cruz and see what he's all about, because we need to know how dastardly this guy is. We need to know what his tights look like, which, if we pause here, Motley Cruz's tights look like if Slim Goodbody had a horrific accident. Slim Goodbody, all of his inside parts were on the outside. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. Motley Cruz's tights look like if you piled up in a row like a bunch of strips of uncooked, freshly cut bacon. That's kind of the vibe that we're going with here. Motley Cruz's tights look like if you threw up just only the red Starburst jelly beans. The main thing we need to know about Motley Cruz is he cheats a lot, and his finishing move is called the pancake. Not the flapjack, the pancake. And I could describe the pancake to you, but I think it would be much better if I just showed you.
Away between these two men.
Little reversal. Swing shot off the turnbuckle and a pancake. That is the classic.
That's all over. That's it.
And now it's time to meet our would-be hero, Jumpin Jeff Farmer. Now, if you have never seen Jumpin Jeff Farmer, I want you to close your eyes, and you don't have to close your eyes because I'll never know because I can't see you. Think to yourself, it's 1991, let's say. There's a wrestler named Jumpin Jeff Farmer. What do I picture? You might picture someone who looks like a wrestler, first of all. Or you might picture someone that is a farmer, like maybe his last name's kind of on the nose, like Jumpin Jeff Farmer. You certainly picture someone you think could probably jump pretty high. His nickname is Jumpin, right? So this guy's jumping all the time. He's jumping to the east, jumping to the west, jumping to the girl that he loves best. Now let me show you Jumpin Jeff Farmer. Did you learn something? Did you learn something about stereotyping people? Well, you think a guy can't jump really high because he's 5'6"? You think a guy can't muscle people around the ring because he's got sloped shoulders and looks terrified? You think just because a guy wears a tinfoil jacket that he can't start some shit? Take a look in the mirror then, because maybe you don't like what you see there either. Think about it.
Yep.
So Jumpin Jeff is, as in most heroes' journeys, just an unlikely person to be the hero of our story. But it remains to be seen. Who knows what could happen? I could be setting you up for the greatest heroic tale of all time. This could be the Fievel Goes West of early 90s Little Rock, Arkansas wrestling. Or this could all be a big prank and I could be setting you up for failure. Maybe he dies at the end. I don't know. You'll have to watch.
Let's go to the ring for the next match. In this match, Tony the...
So here we have Jumpin Jeff in the red tights against Tony the Spider. And guys, there's a whole video series coming on Tony the Spider too, so don't worry. I'm not going to talk too much about him because this guy needs his own episode. Jumpin Jeff Farmer holds himself like the guy who is pretty sure that the dude in the bar is not going to fight him, but he's got to bow up just enough, really get in the guy's face, but is also kind of hoping that there's not a fight because he probably knows what'll happen. That's Jumpin Jeff's kind of whole vibe in my mind. Jumpin Jeff Farmer does look like someone who is here to clean your pool and is probably going to break something. Jumpin Jeff Farmer looks like he's not allowed to sit at the big table at Thanksgiving because of what happened last time. I don't like Jumpin Jeff Farmer's outfit because I don't understand it. He doesn't wear trunks. He doesn't wear tights. He's wearing spandex short pants, which are just cut in a weird spot. Like if they were a little higher, they'd be like biker shorts. And if they're a little longer, they'd be like football pants. Either one, I think I'd feel better about, but they're cut in just the wrong spot. Good to know that the IPW is not much different from the World Wrestling Empire and that no one knows what to do and they just kind of circle around and just keep locking up over and over again like it's the beginning of the match. Just keep doing it. Who cares? You'll think of something. Really getting a nice view of Tony the Spider's butthole as he tries to hold everything in. So far, Jumpin Jeff not doing a lot of flying. I swear there's got to be a clip of him flying. I mean, he's got to be jumping at some point. He's called Jumpin Jeff. Look at that. Unironically, a very solid dropkick. Let's be honest. That was good. That's why they call him Jumpin Jeff, baby. They don't call him standing 2 feet on the ground, Jeff. They don't call him not jumping, Jeff. They don't call him stationary Jeff. They don't call him sedentary Jeff. They don't call him static Jeff, right? He's Jumpin Jeff Farmer for a reason. So drop it.
Into the turnbuckle. This could be dangerous. Slingshot into the other turnbuckle.
Here comes Jumpin Jeff. He's going for a victory roll. No, Tony the Spider just collapsed from under him. He was too worn out.
It's the best thing. It's it's the best thing ever because Jumpin' Jeff did a move that just totally went completely sideways, literally didn't work out, and he tried to make it look like it was an on-purpose submission hold. That's what I'm talking about. That's why Jumpin' Jeff's on That's What I Call Wrestling. That is good, bad wrestling right there. Just good enough to be interesting and not make you nervous, and just bad enough to be hilarious. That's the sweet spot. Jumpin' Jeff on the scale, Jumpin' Jeff is perfectly right in the middle.
Jeff slingshot into the turnbuckle. He's going for the victory roll again. Let's see if he can hold it.
Riding it down.
Yes, he does. He's got it. Referee's counting.
Yep.
The call to adventure. Something has to happen to lead you to it. And what usually happens in the hero's journey is the hero refuses the call, whether they're too humble, whether they're afraid, whether they're not as good at jumping as their name might suggest. It's a tale as old as time. We start with this stasis, right? Just the normal setting. We know where we are. We're in IPW. We know who the big bad guy is, Motley Cruz. We know the up and coming good guy is, Jumpin' Jeff. And that's just kind of the lay of the land. But then something happens to disrupt it and call the hero to adventure. And what happens is not on video. This is the only part of our journey that's missing, right? But it's kind of better that way. It's more mysterious. All we know is that Jumpin' Jeff lost pretty horrifically to Motley Cruz. And it seemed like it was definitive. It seemed like it was a definitive loss. It was a pretty embarrassing loss, and Motley Cruz was not humble about it.
Folks, here's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
Well, he did it. Pinned me right there in the middle of the ring.
I love how sad he is about it. Oh my God, this poor guy. Well, what an exciting way to start a wrestling promo. You don't believe in that? You're not getting excited about this guy? Listen, this is what I mean, the refusal of the call.
There's always a lesson to be learned every time you step in the ring. In Motley Cruz, you taught me one very good lesson. You took me out of my game plan. I couldn't wrestle my kind of match. Believe me, I learned, and I learned well. It don't take me long. Next time I get you in the ring, you're mine. New tactics, new game plan. You're mine.
He does technically mention a rematch, right? But you can tell that it's not exactly in his plans, right? I mean, he mentions like, hey, if we wrestle again, I have a plan and it's going to go down differently. But we don't get the impression, right, that's going to happen. It's just kind of what you would say. Very humble, very defeated, ready to just move on with his life. Now, this is part of the piece that we don't have on video. Motley Cruz has a rebuttal, and we only know that because Jumpin' Jeff talks about it in a second. But Motley Cruz rubs in his victory. That becomes the next step of our journey.
Yep.
Forced into adventure, right? In the hero's journey, sometimes this could be by a mentor, right? Yoda dying, spoiler alert, sorry. Any number of things can happen that force someone into adventure. Where we don't have a mentor here, what we do have is Motley Cruz rubbing it in, doing an interview apparently, and talking about Jeff Farmer, and really rubbing in the fact that Jeff Farmer sucks and Motley Cruz beat him. Jumpin' Jeff Farmer's call to adventure is his own pride as an adult, as a man, right? As a professional wrestler.
Here's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
Destruction Unlimited. That's what he called himself, Destruction Unlimited. Gonna put me down and I'm never gonna get back up. No one's ever done that. I've done a lot of things in my day, and I've got hurt many a time.
Motley Cruz, you think you're the first person to beat me within an inch of my life? Not even close, bud. You think you're the first person to embarrass me in front of a whole crowd of people and on television? I don't think so. I might have been born at night, but I wasn't born last night, Motley Cruz. Okay? You're going to have to embarrass me 16 or 17 more times if you want my personal record of times I've been embarrassed by somebody. Okay?
But I've always risen to the occasion. You're not going to hold me down. Nobody's going to hold me down, and I'm not going to lay down for anybody. You want to fight me? You want to wrestle me? I'll do either one. But one way or another, I'm going to come out on top.
Significant change in attitude. This has escalated, but Motley Cruz wasn't done yet.
Mr. Buddy Lee, did you hear that? Jeff Farmer wanna challenge me. Did you hear him?
I heard it.
Get me excited, man.
Hey, real quick, Motley Cruz is terrifying. Like, I am, like, unironically alarmed.
Know where I'm coming from. Don't you forget, son, the last time you crawled in the ring with me. Don't you remember what happened when Motley put the pancake on you? What was it? 1, 2, 3.
Actually afraid of Motley Cruz. Motley Cruz seems like the type of guy who's not worried about being in shape, because if he got in a real fight with him, he would just like rip out one of your eyeballs or something, right? Like, Motley Cruz has a knife in his boot for sure. At least one. If I had to guess, I'd say there are states that Motley Cruz is no longer welcome in. Motley Cruz is the guy at the local bar who you're hoping you don't accidentally make eye contact with, and he comes up and starts talking to you, or wants to show you something, or wants to, like, hey, test my grip, and or something. Like, weird thing. Maybe these are the only things I've experienced. But Motley Cruz is the guy. He's the regular at the local bar who everyone just says, just don't get him started. Don't just try to ignore him. And then they'll maybe give him a free drink to get him away from you, but he really wants to arm wrestle you. Right? Like, Motley Cruz wants to challenge you to one of those, like, knife games where you have to go really fast and, like, not hit your fingers. Motley Cruz was, like, secretly a world champion at darts or something, and, like, his whole life fell apart.
Gang plan or no gang plan, you come my way. Defeat is waiting on you, son.
We've had our stasis that's been disrupted. Jeff has tried to refuse the call, but he's being forced into it, and he's right at the precipice. Jumpin' Jeff is right at the edge of the point of no return. One more step forward, and there's no turning back.
Yep.
And I want to warn you, what you're about to see is the most famous piece of professional wrestling interview footage of all time. I'm going to play it in its entirety out of respect for the legendary mythological status of what we're about to watch. You've seen this before, welcome back. If you've never seen this, you're welcome.
Earlier we talked to Jumpin Jeff Farmer. Let's go now to that interview. Folks, there's Jumpin Jeff Farmer. Jeff, a while back, what a match you had with Motley.
Yep. Probably the hardest match I ever had in my life. But I don't like it when things aren't going my way. Motley Cruz, you turn the tables on me. You turn the tables in a wrong way. You've got me mad now. I've stood around. I've listened to everything you had to say. I've did everything necessary. But when you turn around and you backstab me one way or another, and you cheat me out of what's rightfully mine, that's when I get angry. Now I'm the one doing the challenging. I'm issuing a challenge to you, Motley Cruz. Get in the ring with me. This time, I'm going full force.
Jumpin Jeff Farmer. Now let's go to the ring.
Is this a hostage situation? Is somebody making this? This feels like Jumpin' Jeff has been kidnapped and they're doing a proof of life video. He keeps darting off his eyes to the side to his captors to make sure that he's doing it right. Like, I'm waiting for Jumpin' Jeff to hold up a newspaper to let everyone know that he's still alive. His face doesn't match what he's saying, and that's why this is perfect. That's why it's beautiful.
Motley Cruz, you turn the tables on me. You turn the tables in a wrong way.
Cross-stitch that. You turn the tables on me, you turn the tables in the wrong way. So I guess what he's referring to is, listen, this is wrestling. People win matches, people lose matches. It happens all the time. But you kept talking about it and you made it personal and you turned the tables. Not just did you turn the tables, but you turned them the wrong way. That's a brilliant thing to say, because I'll spend the rest of my life trying to figure out what it means.
You've got me mad now.
I can't. I mean, I could pause every frame of this and talk about it.
You've got me 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Mad now.
You know how sometimes you get so mad that you're going to tell someone how mad you are and you just take like a weird unnatural pause for a long time? This feels like when someone is the host on Saturday Night Live and they're not very good at cue card acting. And it's just like the whole episode is them taking pauses at weird times because they're trying to read. That feels like what's happening here. I'm not convinced that Jeff Farmer's not reading off the cue cards for this.
Get in the ring with me. This time, I'm going full force.
That's a big revelation. That's a pretty big revelation because that implies that up until now, Jeff Farmer's been holding back.
Ah, fuck! Dude, fucking stop doing full force!
Yep.
The next step in a hero's journey are the trials, allies, and enemies, right? This is when the journey has begun. We've passed the threshold. So next is the journey, right? We have lots of trials and tribulations ahead, but he needs friends. He needs run-ins, right? Well, that's exactly what happens. Literally, run-ins. During a match between Motley Cruz and Richie Rouge, which there's going to be an episode about Richie Rouge too, because he deserves it. He needs it. There's a heated feud simultaneously happening, not just with Jumpin' Jeff and Motley Cruz, but with Richie Rouge and Bulldozer, right? Well, Bulldozer's allied with Motley Cruz. So when things aren't looking so good for his buddy Motley Cruz, what's Bulldozer do? He runs out into the ring. Oh, God. Sorry. They just did the worst. Like, take my hand and whip me off, brother. Thing I've ever seen. So Bulldozer doesn't quite make it in time. Richie Rouge seems like he wins the match, and Bulldozer starts working over Richie Rouge with his chain, and Motley Cruz starts laying it in too. But guess who can't take it anymore? Guess who is on the sidelines watching this happen, but can't let this happen to an innocent person? Our brand new hero. Jumpin' Jeff Farmer has had all he can take, and he's not going to take anymore. He shows off those jumping skills and starts laying out Motley Cruz. Jumpin' Jeff does so many moves to Motley Cruz, and he's so fired up that he runs out of offense and just stands there until Odell Buckingham starts doing something to Motley Cruz and kind of takes over. So Jumpin' Jeff has an ally, finally, and he's learning, right? He's learning what it means to be betrayed. He's learning what it means to stand up for yourself and the price you have to pay.
Yep.
Now, finally, the ordeal, right? The big boss fight, the big match. It's finally time. We've been working through all this. It's now put up or shut up time for Jeff. He will live on after this day a legend in victory, or he will die a loser in defeat. And he's been a loser all the way up until now, and it's his chance to change history. Will Jumpin' Jeff live up to his destiny, or will he come up short and fall down to his knees at the hands of defeat?
Now to the ring.
And in this match, Motley Cruz against Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. I'd like to welcome my color.
You can feel the tension in the arena, right? I mean, obviously they've piped in the sound, so it's going to sound like everyone's excited. And they don't look excited in the front row, but we know what's at stake, right? Many things aren't appreciated in the lifetime in which they inhabit, but are appreciated later. We can look at these two standing in the middle of the ring and see two gladiators about to have the most important battle of the 20th century right in front of 15 and a half people in Little Rock.
Motley backing Jumpin' Jeff against the ropes.
Just pushed him into the rope.
We can definitely see that Jumpin' Jeff is mad now. Jumpin' Jeff is calm. Jumpin' Jeff is taking his time. He is not being rattled by the enormity of the task in front of him of getting revenge for himself on live television in Little Rock, Arkansas, against a more than formidable opponent who, by the way, does not care to cheat. So Jumpin' Jeff, by the way, Jumpin' Jeff runs the ropes like they're going to bite him, right? Like he runs the ropes like he is afraid if he hits them too hard, they're going to shatter. Like this guy is not here to run these ropes with any sort of intensity whatsoever because he saves it for lovemaking. Jumpin' Jeff has made it very clear that he is here to do arm bars until Motley Cruz tells him what to do next. That's a bold strategy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
If it was up to Jumpin' Jeff, he'd be sidling up to that arm bar all night and having a few drinks.
Cruz is going to the top, buddy.
Cruz reaching for something, it looks like.
And it looks like, yes, he hit him in the ribs with it, buddy.
What'd I say? What did I say? Motley Cruz with the foreign object in his tights starts battering the kidneys of Jumpin' Jeff. That's how personal this has become. I don't even know, like, you're not allowed to kidney punch people in boxing. I don't think there's any rule in wrestling. You can just batter someone's kidneys till they have to go to the hospital for a few weeks. Motley Cruz told the truth when he said that he didn't just want to take Jeff Farmer out of wrestling. He wants to take him off of this mortal coil via bloody piss.
Another blow to the kidneys.
I don't know how much more of this Farmer can take.
Farmer right now.
Motley Cruz has probably battered Jeff's kidneys 16 or 17 times at this point. Like if those trunks weren't red before, they would have been red by the end of this. He would have just squeezed a little out of them.
Right back to work on that lower back kidney area.
Jumpin' Jeff with the flying back tuck kidney punch cell. He's working hard. That's why they call him Jumpin' Jeff, man. He'll fly around that ring for you, boy. Jumpin' Jeff, you give him a minute, he'll make you look like $1 million out there, kid. I have probably watched 15,000 wrestling matches in my life, at least. I don't know that I've ever seen someone just focus on someone's kidneys like this. Maybe ever, but especially like this. Like, it's almost like difficult to watch.
Coming back with a punch. Another punch. Right to the head. Motley taking some.
And a standing drop kick, Farmer takes Cruz to the mat. And he's right back on the punch.
Motley taking the blows from Jumpin' Jeff.
Jumpin' Jeff fighting back with the fire of 1,000 suns, laying into Motley Cruz. Back foot. Hold on. Jumpin' Jeff has left his feet like twice so far, like ever. And brother just straight up does a backflip for no reason out of the corner. What the hell? Where did that come from? It wasn't even like an offensive maneuver. He just did a backflip for fun, man. Down on the farm, that's what Jumpin' Jeff does. Go down by the creek and backflip off of some logs.
The slingshot super.
Jumpin' Jeff.
Motley Cruz could never make it here for very long on Now That's What I Call Wrestling because he does too many kind of cool moves. Not interested, bud. Take your cool moves someplace else, pal. That's not what we're here for. Get with the program and fall down by accident a couple of times, okay? If you want to make it on this program.
Pulling up for something. Again, right to the lower back.
I don't know how much more Jumpin' Jeff's kidneys can take. I thought maybe this would be fun to show a hero's journey of like maybe an underdog coming out of nowhere and beating all odds and coming through in the end. But it seems like the only thing that's going to be coming through is a catheter coming through the end of Jumpin' Jeff's penis at the emergency room at this rate.
He doesn't need to be on the mat.
And a reversal by Farmer. That was just a desperation move, buddy. He just went into it.
Little malfunction at the junction there with kind of like jumping crotch to face maneuver there by Jumpin' Jeff. But we've seen it before. If he messes up a move, what do? You don't go on to something else and pretend like, well, that didn't work and maybe that was supposed to happen. No, you blatantly show the audience that it got messed up and you try it again.
Reversal. Motley slinging.
Except Motley Cruz is like, no, we're not doing that again.
He's got Farmer so worn down.
just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Jumpin' Jeff fulfills his destiny. All it takes is 3 seconds to change the world. I do want to point out, however, that Jumpin' Jeff was absolutely trying to do that bad spot again, that weird victory roll thing he was trying to do. And Motley Cruz was like, no, brother, I'm not going for that. Roll me up, baby. Like, I can't read lips, but I can read wrestling audibles, and that was one of them. But the ordeal is not the last step of the journey.
Yep. Folks, there's Motley Cruz.
That's right, Mr. Buddy Lee. It is Motley Cruz. Jeff Farmer, look at me, son. Look in these eyes.
I would love to look into Motley Cruz's eyes, but I think I can't. Like, that's pretty diabolical. That's why he's the biggest heel in the company, because he's the only guy who's like, look in my eyes, and then closes them just to mess with you. Still, didn't learn a thing.
You know by now there ain't nobody at home that never was. Now, son, you got lucky one time. One single time. You did something that not many people have ever done, and that's beat me in the middle of a squared circle. You got lucky one time, that is. Once. Once is not a lifetime, son. Once is not forever.
So I guess in order to fully vanquish Motley Cruz, you have to beat him for a lifetime. You have to beat him forever. That's a bad deal. I wouldn't sign for that deal.
Next time I see you, next time that you decide that you want to go somewhere or you want to be out partying with your babe, you look behind you. Look, make sure that Motley's not there. Make sure I'm not around, son. Because when I see you, you're going down, and it don't matter where it's at, squared circle or not. Here, Mr. Buddy Lee.
I believe him. I absolutely believe him. If Motley Cruz said that about me, I would try to join his team. You can't go to a party with Jumpin' Jeff can't even go to a party with his babe anymore without looking behind him and seeing that guy. Join his team, man. That's why Jumpin' Jeff, I'm not the hero. Jumpin' Jeff is. And we can get my reaction, but nobody's paying to see that. What they want to know is how Jumpin' Jeff feels after he did the impossible and defeated the greatest foe he has ever faced.
Folks, there's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
How you doing, Buddy Lee?
Pretty good.
Even Buddy Lee is thrown off by that. Like, he sets up the interview. He sets up Jumpin' Jeff and is thrown off by Jeff going be like, yeah, so how are you doing, man? You doing good? Like, oh, we're rolling? Like, pretty good. Like,
Now, I'm sure you've heard the old saying, somebody's a crybaby.
is that a saying? That's like the catchphrase for the Jeff Farmer sitcom. Somebody's a crybaby.
Well, I've been beaten many a time in the middle of the ring, but I've never cried about it.
Jeff Farmer is wearing a space blanket. Jeff Farmer is a real throwback in that his jacket is made up of the foil that they used to wrap Hershey bars in. Jeff Farmer, I mean, with that jacket, technically could go trick-or-treating safely tonight.
And I never will. Motley Cruz, first time we met, you took me out of my game plan, you beat me 1, 2, 3 right there in the middle of the ring. Second time we met, I made the adjustments. I beat you 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. I didn't cry about it, and I don't see why you should either. You made some threats against me, saying that you were going to put me down, whether it be on the street or in the middle of the squared circle. Well, if you want to meet me in the middle of the squared circle, that's fine, because I'll accept any challenges thrown out to me. It doesn't matter to whom or from whom.
I got to think about it for a second, but I think kudos to Jumpin' Jeff for using whom correctly. To whom or from whom? Yeah. To him or from him? Yeah. Jeff, good job, buddy. I underestimated you. See, he has been on a journey. If Jumpin' Jeff had tried to use whom in his first couple of promos before this journey, absolutely would have gotten it wrong. Now, because he's gone through the hero's journey, he knows whom. He knows whom to use whom with.
But I'll take it. I just hope I don't have to look over my shoulder for you, because I'd hate for anybody to get hurt.
That is the calm confidence of someone who is ready to take care of business again. And I have to bet that that's the end of it. Motley Cruz, you can't come back from that. Because Jumpin Jeff just proved that he will TCB when there is B to TC of whom? Of whom? Jumpin Jeff is who will take care of whom's business. Whose business? I've never been on a hero's journey.
Now let's go to the ring.
What started as a petrified, doe-eyed young man who looked scared to death of the camera, went there and back again, lived to tell it, came back, he took the ring to Mordor and made his way back. And now Jumpin Jeff is the cool, calm, collected, tinfoil jacket wearing hero that we need, deserve, and whom. Now that's Jumpin Jeff.
Yep.